All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott Carter, and I'm a therapist here in the smoky state of Utah. What day? We're a couple days away from September. I'm always glad if September 1st is here. Always. And week after week after week, we're just, the whole valley is covered with smoke. Um, it's a bummer, man. It's a major, major bummer. Air quality here is awful. Uh, Anyways, thanks for being my therapist. I'm going to talk in this video why it is that we're terrible at treating addictions. And that could be like, because here's the thing, when it comes to like addictions, it could be like video games, let's say video games. And yes, I very much believe that video game addiction is real. It's just for, like, I'm going to talk about addiction in regards to it being just different forms of escapism, right? And I just finished kind of doing a video about like how males are living in quiet desperation. And what I see with males is that instead of taking on their issues, they are just engaging in escapism. And they live in quiet desperation until the next episode of escapism. Whether it's drinking, whether it's smoking pot, whether it's playing video games for hours and hours on end. They just get involved in escapism instead of just taking this on. And when we see them do this, what do? Well, we yell at them, of course, because isn't that the solution? Because yelling at people and degrading them and putting them down obviously positively motivates them. And I make this argument all the time, like, you don't kick your dog until it rolls over and brings you your slippers. Like, you can't motivate a positive behavior with bad behaviors, right? You can't kick a dog until it does some fun tricks. You can't kick a dog until it loves you, right? But we have this approach with each other, right? Oh, you're playing video games again. Well, certainly, let me yell at you again because that certainly worked the last time, right? And we erroneously fall into this trap of believing that the solution lies in just hitting them with a bigger stick, right? But I see this with people that they do this with themselves as well, right? If they have an addiction of some kind, or they're struggling to overcome something, they fall into this trap that the solution is brutality, of emotional brutality, and that just drives people deeper, deeper, and deeper into that dysfunction, right? And I notice this with people who really struggle with trauma, really struggle with mental health issues. It's like they get harder and harder and harder and sell on themselves, and it's all, I know, I need to do better. And it's like, no, that's not the solution. The solution isn't it to yell at you. So I'm going to talk in this video about like why we really are terrible at like treating addiction or helping people with addiction, and what I believe that what needs to be done instead. Okay, and so let me get some housekeeping out of the way. At the time of recording this, a couple days away from September, I have an online event coming up. I'm really excited about it. This is Borderline Personality Disorder: Setting Healthy and Assertive Boundaries. Okay, setting boundaries with people that have BPD. Tickets are only $30. And I'm going to present some material, how to set boundaries, why this is important, with some time at the end for some Q&A. So go sign up. It's very, very exceptionally good price for exceptionally good content on this particular topic. So go check it out. Make sure you subscribe because I'm going to be having a lot of events. I'm going to be having a lot of online events, and so hit the notification bell so that you'll be in the loop on some of these event announcements, notifications, and you can be on the loop and catch the events that will be most helpful to you. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Help me grow my channel. Share the video, like the video. You know what to do. I'm just going to plug the cryptocurrency link. It's a great time to still get out on the ground floor of cryptocurrency. I believe there's a positive future with cryptocurrency. If you hit the link below, sign up for Coinbase, and invest $100, you will, $100 or more, you'll get $10 in free crypto to invest wherever you like. Okay, so let's get on with this topic. And essentially, right, why we're terrible at treating addiction. And the truth of the matter is that people that struggle with substance abuse, a drug addiction, maybe it's a pornography addiction, maybe it's a sexual addiction to something like masturbation, maybe it's video games, could be a myriad of things. Our the thing that everybody does with that, right? If you know someone that struggled with these issues, this is what everybody does, and even though it never works, it's never helpful. We just keep doing it because we're insane, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? And so what we do is respond with anger, and we start getting into the mode of, well, I guess I just need to yell at them more, or we just need to find a bigger stick to hit them with, and then this big power struggle ensues. And I even see this with parents and working with kids, like all the yelling in the world that the parent did for the parent towards a child didn't get the kid to get better grades or follow the rules or do whatever, didn't work. So let's take them to a therapist so the therapist will yell at them too, right? And that seems to be their attitude. And it's like, hey, guess what, folks? That doesn't work. And all we ever do is shame them and tell them that they're bad because they struggle with this. And I can tell you with addiction of any kind is there's this shameful component. Heavy, heavy, heavy shame component. And without resolving that shameful component, it's really difficult for that person to break away from that thing. And when we just yell at them and shame them and put them down and get angry at them and call them names and threaten them and just tell them to do better and get it together, all that does is reinforce that shame component. And essentially, I'll put it this way, is that it's like you feel you are like so alone in this. You're so misunderstood, and you can't break away from it as badly as you may want to. It just holds you there. And what they don't need is for someone to be like, you're playing video games again? And the dishes aren't done and the garbage isn't taken out. And what we forget is they're important. That's what we forget. They are important. And what we forget is that they're struggling with something that maybe we don't understand. Right, in the 80s, we had the just say no. Like, I went to the DARE program when I was in the 6th grade. This program where it's like, well, just say no. That does nothing to address the underlying issues, psychological issues having to do with addiction in the first place. And so, surprise, surprise, the data came out on the DARE program. It's just big, giant waste of money because just say no is insanely detached from the reality of the real struggle behind addiction. So I'll tell you what these folks really, really need. They need to be loved. They need us to see them. They need us to love them even though we see this horrible thing about them. They need to feel like they're not alone. They need to be honestly loved and cared about in their darkest moments, instead of yelled at, because that's what we do. We yell at them when they're in those darkest moments and tell them to get it together and what's wrong with you, right? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And so if you have someone in your life, for example, where all they do is like these, I'm telling you, man, I see these adult males, they just play video games like, holy crap. And I'm telling you, it's escapism. And believe me, with the addictive nature of video games these days, you could play them for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. I'm telling you, it's just escapism. Smoking pot, just escapism. We're too uncomfortable with discomfort. We're not okay with being not okay, right? So, I mean, there's a whole chain of dynamics here, but I don't think that we're ever going to make any headway on helping people with addiction as long as we just keep falling into these same patterns of, well, there's something wrong with you, and we need to yell at it and be angry with it, right? It does nothing, and we forget that we care about this person. We forget that they're important to us, and in reality too, like, I feel like when we yell at someone with an addiction problem, we're thinking about us. We're not thinking about them. Why aren't you doing more for me? Right? Kind of an attitude. And so it is a difficult topic, but if you struggle with any kind of addiction, I think it's important to move towards this idea of, I'm important even though I struggle with this. I'm valuable and lovable even though I struggle with this. And to me, that's the way out. It's a language of love. Honestly, it really is. So that's my take on why we're so awful at treating addictions. Frankly, here's a little bit of a tangent. Here's a little bit of a rant too. I feel like the mental health industry is terrible at treating a lot of things. I've become very, very, very disenchanted with the mental health industry lately. Terrible at treating addiction, terrible at treating eating disorders, terrible at treating trauma, terrible at treating obsessive compulsive disorder and a whole myriad of other borderline, terrible at treating personality disorders. And it leaves me thinking like, what is the mental health industry good at? I'm not gonna touch that right now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.